In the pursuit of elite performance, we're sold a linear equation. The harder you work, the better you get. We believe that obsession is the tuition fee for greatness. We idolize the first one in, last one out mentality, viewing self-sacrifice not as a cost, but as a badge of honor. But forensic psychology suggests that at the highest decile of human achievement, this equation breaks. There is a tipping point where the drive for flawlessness stops fueling performance and starts metabolizing the self. This is the paradox of perfectionism. It is a double-edged sword. On one side, it carves out history-defying records. On the other, it severs the connection between the performer and their humanity. Today, we are not looking at a tragedy of failure. We are examining a tragedy of success. We are dissecting the career of a man who reached the absolute zenith of his field, the literal greatest in the world, and found that the very traits that put him there were actively trying to destroy him. The subject is Jonny Wilkinson. The event is the 2003 Rugby World Cup, and the evidence suggests that the line between a champion mentality and a clinical pathology is much thinner and much more dangerous than we dare to admit. To understand the 2003 breaking point, we must first audit the years leading up to it. Jonny Wilkinson was not merely dedicated. By his own admission, he operated on a frequency that bypassed dedication and settled into compulsion. In his autobiography, Jonny, he described a psychological state where the fear of error was a physical sensation. He wrote, quote, "My own position is so far on the obsessive side of preparation and professionalism that I fear my point of view is not going to be shared by anyone." While his teammates rested on Christmas Day, Wilkinson was often found at the training ground, kicking balls into the freezing wind. This wasn't just training, it was a ritual of appeasement. He believed that if he stopped, the luck or the edge would evaporate. Sir Clive Woodward, the England head coach, identified this trait early. He didn't curb it, he weaponized it. He saw a player who treated every practice kick with the gravity of a World Cup final. But the forensic red flags were already waving. In one documented incident prior to his peak, Wilkinson drove to the Slaley Hall Hotel. He didn't go to swim laps. He swam to the bottom of the pool, held himself there, and screamed underwater until his lungs burned. He surfaced, took a breath, and did it again. Why? Because the pressure in his head, the non-stop barrage of thoughts, as he called it, was so loud that he needed to be where no one could hear him implode. He was biting his own hands in frustration during practice. He was punching walls when a kick missed by inches in an empty stadium. The media called this professionalism. A psychologist would call it maladaptive perfectionism. The public saw a machine, but machines don't feel pain. Wilkinson was feeling everything, amplified. He was building a debt of anxiety that was due to be collected on November 22, 2003. The 2003 Rugby World Cup final, England versus Australia, Sydney. The stakes were absolute. England had never won the World Cup. The entire narrative of English rugby rested on 80 minutes. For Wilkinson, this was the moment his obsession had promised him. The match goes into extra time. The score is locked at 17-17. The physical toll is immense. Players are cramping, bleeding, exhausted. Wilkinson's body is battered. Let's look at the tick-tock of the final minute. Minute 99:30. England's scrum half Matt Dawson makes a break. He gains yards but is tackled. Minute 99:45, Martin Johnson carries the ball to set up the platform. Minute 99:50, the ball is passed back to Wilkinson. He's 30 meters out. He's on his right foot, his weaker foot. In a vacuum, this is a low probability play, a drop goal in the rain on the wrong foot in the final seconds of a World Cup final. He strikes it. It sails through. England wins. In that moment, the transaction seemed complete. The suffering, the underwater screaming, the frozen Christmas trainings, it had all paid off. The perfectionism had delivered the ultimate prize. But here is where the story diverges from the fairy tale. The victory didn't cure the disease, it validated it. Wilkinson later admitted that in the aftermath, his anxiety didn't vanish, it metastasized. He had reached the summit and he felt hollow. What followed is known in sports medicine circles as the 1,000 days of injury. From late 2003 to 2007, the man who had played almost every minute for England barely stepped on the pitch. His body, held together by sheer cortisol and adrenaline for years, finally collapsed. He suffered a hematoma in his arm, knee ligament damage, a hernia, and a lacerated kidney. The perfect machine was broken. To understand why Wilkinson broke, we need to turn to the work of psychologists Hewitt and Flett. They categorize perfectionism into 3 dimensions. The most dangerous is socially prescribed perfectionism, the belief that others hold exaggerated expectations of you and that acceptance is conditional on meeting them. But there is a second distinction that is even more critical: adaptive versus maladaptive perfectionism. Adaptive perfectionists derive pleasure from the pursuit of high standards. When they fail, they analyze, adjust, and continue. Maladaptive perfectionists, like the young Wilkinson, are driven by the fear of failure. Their self-worth is entirely contingent on the outcome. For them, a missed kick isn't just a missed kick, it is a moral indictment. It is proof that they are not enough. The data on this is unequivocal. A 2016 meta-analysis published in Psychological Bulletin found that maladaptive perfectionism is significantly correlated with depression, anxiety, and even suicide ideation. Wilkinson's shouting at the wind wasn't eccentric, it was symptomatic. He was operating in a state of chronic sympathetic nervous system arousal, fight or flight, 24/7. When you tie your identity to an external outcome, like being the best kicker in the world, you hand over the keys to your happiness to factors you cannot control: the wind, the bounce of the ball, the referee. Wilkinson tried to control the uncontrollable through sheer volume of work. He tried to outwork the laws of probability. And while he won the World Cup, the biological tax was paid in full. A body that disintegrated and a mind that couldn't enjoy the victory. Wilkinson was lucky. He had the resources and the eventual self-awareness to rebuild. Many do not. Consider the lost generation of high performers in finance, in tech, in music, who hit the same wall but didn't bounce back. The 27 Club isn't just about substance abuse. It is often about the crushing weight of expectation, where the persona consumes the person. When the double-edged sword cuts the wrong way, we see careers ended by unexplained fatigue, loss of love for the game, or severe mental health crises. The Japanese have a word for death from overwork: karoshi. It is the terminal endpoint of the belief that the self is a resource to be mined without replenishment. However, Wilkinson offers his own counter-evidence in the second half of his career. At Toulon, in France, he adopted a new philosophy. He embraced Buddhism and quantum concepts. He shifted from outcome, I must win,
to intention, I will prepare well. He still won trophies, he was still world class, but the desperation was gone. He proved that you can be elite without being ill. What does this case study tell us? The data suggest a clear framework for evaluating our own drive. First, distinguish between process and outcome. Wilkinson's misery came from an obsession with the outcome, the kick going over. His peace came from focusing on the process, the strike of the ball. The former is fragile, the latter is robust. Second, recognize the law of diminishing returns. In the graph of effort versus reward, there is a peak. Pushing past that peak into the sinking to the bottom of the pool territory actually degrades performance. It creates injury, mental fog, and rigidity. Rest is not the opposite of work. It is a component of it. And finally, the sword must be sheathed. Perfectionism is a tool, not a lifestyle. Used in moments, like the final minute of a World Cup, it is a superpower. Lived in 24 hours a day, it is a poison. The logic is simple. You cannot sprint a marathon. If you try, you don't finish faster. You die at mile 6. Looking at Wilkinson's trajectory, one can observe patterns that appear across industries and decades. The student who pulls all-nighters for a 4.0 GPA but cannot function socially. The entrepreneur who sells a company for millions but feels empty the next morning. It raises a forensic question for the viewer. Which patterns in your own life align with the maladaptive traits of 2003 Wilkinson? Where are you shouting at the wind? The evidence suggests that if you believe joy is a prize waiting at the finish line of suffering, you are running a race that has no end. The finish line moves, the goalposts widen, the wind picks up. Jonny Wilkinson is a legend not just because he kicked a ball between 2 posts in Sydney. He is a legend because he survived the man who kicked it. Greatness requires a standard, but survival requires a self. Case closed.